Floyd Mayweather just sent out a message. I think it was on social media. It might have been a tweet. He tells Conor McGregor, sign the paper. And it just makes me... Here's the first question. Is there a paper? Is there actually a... Floyd Mayweather, not for nothing, but he is a dummy. I mean, if you took a box of rocks versus Floyd Mayweather, it would be a toss-up on which is more stupid. And is there actually a paper to sign? I can remember a time when Frank Shamrock was trying to put a fight together with Cesar Gracie, and Frank faxed him something that said, like, Frank Shamrock will fight Cesar Gracie. And then he faxed it to... There was no date, there was no promotion, there was no offer, there was no weight class, there was no anything. And Frank was serious. He's like, yeah, Cesar won't sign the contract. And then Cesar held up the contract, and everybody's going, Frank, this isn't a contract. So it just, that's where my mind went. But I stand by the question, is there an offer? And if so, who did it come from? Well, who is Floyd to make an offer? Did he do it on behalf of the money team and he's going to be the promoter? Is Showtime or any network behind this? Do they have a date? Do they have a venue? Is there anything to actually sign when Floyd comes out and says, sign the paper? What paper?
Listen, let me tell you something. The one thing we've heard Mayweather pushing this fight in the last 10 days to a week, last 2 weeks, boy, Dana's went silent. So there's some things going on. One of the great things about...
But now that's speculative, isn't it? I mean, is the fact that Dana went silent maybe because there's just nothing going on here? I mean, he's come out and he's been pretty clear that, hey, that this fight isn't happening. I realize things can change and there's gamesmanship. But when Floyd says sign the paper,
listen,
who exactly is the?
The best part of the Wednesday show is we've got so much content. We can just, man, we can go on for hours about what, especially when you have a big pay-per-view like they had last weekend. So I had all these notes. Yesterday, and I didn't get to them. I didn't even read them. Here's one of my notes. Roy Jones Jr. met with UFC officials last week to discuss a possible boxing match against Anderson Silva. As soon as I read that, I said the Conor Mayweather fight's going to happen. The Alphabet, the new company that owns the UFC, they're all about entertainment. They're an entertainment company. This is what they do. They're going to make that Conor fight. It's going to happen pretty quick. I say it happens. I say they announce that fight in the next 30 days, and it's going to open up a trick box. Okay? One of the trick boxes is now the MMA fighters are going to, it's all about money, man. It's all about money, and it's prize fighting. You fight for the prize. Man, do you want to see Anderson box Roy Jones Jr.? Yeah, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Now, I don't. But based on that information, I do. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Man, let me jump in here. I'm so goddamn embarrassed for these guys. In the history of my lifetime, Joel, I've never seen anybody pine for a co-main event. In the history of my time in this sport or on planet Earth, I've never seen somebody come out and market and push and beg to jerk a curtain for somebody. I would not do it myself, ever. It wouldn't matter what the paycheck or the opportunity was. My ego would get in the way, and I'm not going to come out and open for anybody. Now, sometimes you get put on that card, and you be a good little soldier, and you go do what needs to be done. But I am not going to go to the media as Roy Jones Jr. and the legacy that he had and the greatest boxer of the decade of the night. You can argue the greatest boxer of this time and that time. Nobody will dispute he was the greatest boxer of an entire decade. Then you're going to bring in Anderson Silva, who I've always said is overrated, but who cares? I could be wrong. Who cares if I say he's overrated? He's a great. And they're going to go out and they're going to pine to jerk the curtain for a 27-year-old kid from Ireland? I would never, ever do that. And it embarrasses me that they would do it. Now, I strongly disagree with half of what you said. I have been on the bandwagon from Jump Street that Floyd versus Conor happens. And whether the Alphabet puts it on or they sign off and they let somebody, however that plays out, if those two want to fight, you let them go fight. But for Floyd to act like he's got some kind of a contract, I mean, to tell you how stupid Floyd Mayweather is, if you go listen to him, It's unbelievable. And in the world of bluffs, it's annoying for me too. Floyd, if you got so much stroke and you got so much money and you got this big promotion going, then you could get airtime on SportsCenter today with one phone call. So why don't you go on and show us your cards? Hold up the goddamn contract. Show us what venue you got booked. Let us know what ticketing company you're doing business with. Show us the contract that all Conor has to do is sign. And if you're so damn powerful, then go buy his contract out. Go get a deal done. Don't come to the table and act like you're anything if you can't go and negotiate. If you can't go into a boardroom and come out with your way, even if you got to write a check or cut another guy in or whatever it is you have to do from a business standpoint to get a damn deal done. So he wants to come out and say, sign the paper. I will ask you for the third time, what paper? What sheet of paper? What is the date that he's proposing? Who is the promoter? In what city and what venue? What are the person? Give us some parameters. What is it that Conor is supposed to sign? What is it that Floyd is pretending has been offered? Joe, you'll see this all the way. You know, it's infuriating me right now. We're seeing this in politics right now with Trump and this whole Russia angle. It's like, listen, somebody call somebody else bluff. Okay, if Trump's lying about Russia, if they influenced our election, he's going to be impeached. It's going to cost him his job. So Trump, come out and just tell whatever senator that wants to take the charge and can make faceless and factless and baseless. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead.
Phrases are hard.
Phrases are hard. If you're going to make some kind of factless and baseless claim, there we got it on the third try. Trump should tell a senator, whichever one of you wants to do this, put your job on the line. If any one of you thinks that there's some kind of Russian conspiracy and you're going to go run the world and tell all your constituents and tell the country and tell these news shows that there is, let's have an investigation. And I'll put my job on the line versus your job. If there was one and I've lied to the American people, I'm done. But if you're lying, Mr. Senator, and you're coming out with no proof, then you're done. But it's this world of bluffing, and it creates these talks, and I will guarantee you Floyd doesn't have a contract. Floyd is an idiot in a nice suit with a bunch of money. That's the bottom line. They asked him the other day, you know, what give us some financial advice. And Floyd went into like businessman mode, like he could give financial advice. Like, Floyd, you don't sign the front of paychecks, you sign the back of paychecks. The smart guys sign the front. And you signed the back. So Floyd stepped up and he gave the advice. And he says, buy real estate. So the guy asks him the follow-up question. Well, what should you do with real estate? To which Floyd has absolutely no answer. He couldn't spell lease. He couldn't tell you the difference from commercial to residential. He had no idea. And Floyd says, I got about 1.2 billion in my portfolio for real estate. So the guy says, oh, what should I buy? Where? And he's dumbfounded. He doesn't know what to say. And Floyd says, "Well, you know, get some advice from people, and then try." I mean, he gives some answer that just tells you how stupid he is. And I'm telling you right now, if he's going to be Mr. Businessman, but he can't work out a deal with Dana. I mean, Dana and Floyd live exactly 8 miles from one another. It's not like this is some hard guy to reach. Pop into the office and get a deal done, or zip it. Just admit that you made it big in this space by signing the back of paychecks. That's a great way to go. It's a great gig if you can get it. But the smart guys signed the front of them, Floyd. So when you're telling Conor or anybody else to sign the paper, I'm going to ask you for a fourth time. What paper? Who authorized it, and what are the terms? What is it supposedly he's not signing? And then you want to talk about Floyd and Roy Jones. You said you didn't want to see those guys fight. I'd love to see them fight. I'll watch that fight today. But that isn't going to happen. If Dana's going to throw his golden goose into boxing, he knows he's going to take some lumps. This is what the whole thing's about. Listen, how big of damage are we going to take if he goes in and gets cleaned up by Floyd? And that's a decision for him to make. I look at it, I don't think any. You're taking Conor, putting him into a world where he is supposed to fail. If he meets those expectations, which he should and will very quickly, I don't really know what you're at, but I could be missing that. I could be missing that. So you weigh the value that hurts Conor versus what you can get from Floyd, and you make your decision from there, right? It's pretty simple. If I'm the promoter, I'm not going to take 2 lumps in one night. Even if Chael's right on this and Conor's stock doesn't drop, he goes into a world that he doesn't belong in, he gets cleaned up like he should. I'm not going to lose 2 guys in one night. Roy Jones is going to touch up Anderson and Floyd's going to touch up Conor, and they had better. And there shouldn't even be a debate. The fact that there's a debate is a discredit and an embarrassment to boxing. I come from the world of amateur wrestling. You could not bring me a guy, I don't give a goddamn how good an athlete he is. If that's not what he does, and you're going to put him against our best, our current and reigning best, he's going to get dusted as quick as a scoreboard can tally those points, and that referee could step in and pull him off and send you back to his corner. And the fact that there are people debating this topic isn't an insult just to Floyd. It's an insult to the entire sport, reputation, and legacy of boxing. It is one of the biggest insults I've ever seen this sport face. And boxers have not come out in droves and protested this match. Boxers have not come out and gone, man, this is a joke. We laugh at this anytime they want to do it. Anything that you would say if you're sure of your guy. Even the insiders in boxing haven't done that. Even Teddy Atlas has weighed in and go, well, there's some stuff there that Conor could do. You've had big-time boxing guys like Max Kellerman come out and say, well, there is ways with Conor's defensive measures where Conor could make it 12 rounds and Floyd will win all 12 rounds and Floyd will dominate him. I'm looking at going, you're telling me that a guy who's never boxed could take on the biggest hero that you guys have, and you guys are going to concede out of the gate that this goes the distance? That is an embarrassment, an absolute travesty of an embarrassment to your sport. You will never meet a black belt in karate that will admit a black belt in taekwondo is better. They will defend their sport to the bitter end. And you've got guys in boxing that are willing to concede right now. Some are saying Conor could beat him, and the vast majority are saying Conor could go with him. That is humiliating.
Yeah, Mayweather has just as much of a chance to win an MMA fight against Conor as Conor has to win a boxing match.
He should. That's the way it should be. What you just said is so blatantly clear and obvious, but for some reason, Joel, while we make that claim, the boxing world and the boxing insiders aren't. We saw what happened when they sent a guy over to boxing. His name was James Toney. James Toney's a stud. He made it less, was it 2 minutes? Did he even make it 2 minutes in MMA? That's as long as he should have made it. And frankly, it might be about 90 seconds more than he should have made it. But he was dominated from start as he should have been. That's not a knock on James Toney. It's a different sport. John Jones, just for fun, went and arm wrestled the world's strongest man. The guy toyed with him and then beat. Well, of course the guy beat him at arm wrestling. It's not what John does. You can't bring in one of our athletics, GSP. He's going to go play one-on-one against LeBron James. It doesn't work that way. It's laughable and it's a joke. But for some reason, boxing's not laughing. Boxing's a little bit worried about it. I've always held boxers to the highest standard when it comes to striking, that you guys are the dominant force. But to find out that boxing isn't holding themselves to that standard, finding out that the boxing community, one, is conceding that Conor could go with him, and two, some of them are saying he can beat him, it makes me rethink my appreciation to the sweet science. It makes me think, man, do I have this wrong? Is this not this great of a pugilistic sport as I thought that it was? I still think it is. I still think Floyd runs over him. But the fact that Floyd isn't completely sure and $25 million isn't enough for him to go prove his point, that Floyd's holding this, he wants to come out and tell Conor to sign the contract. What contract, Floyd? Go on SportsCenter right now. Show us the contract that some business entity has agreed to, and then flip to the last page and show us where you've signed, Floyd. The bottom line is there is no offer, there is no agreement, and you're a dummy, and you live 8 miles away from the guy that can make this happen, and I don't think you've gone down and sat down with him, because you're too stupid.
Dummy. Hey, listen, I love it when you get fired up about boxing.
I love it when I lay out a promo and you have nothing to say on the back end of it.
I do right now, dude. If you think that fires you up, Floyd Mayweather just came out and told Conor to sign the paper.